Meanwhile, Mallory was busy setting traps in a frequently visited spot by crocodiles, determined not to miss out this time. With everything ready, they just waited for a crocodile to take the bait. Food was hard to come by in Tara's group's location, and they had to move to a farther place. Lindsay planned to check out the waters 15 miles away, but Tara thought it was too far and suggested trying their luck at a small pond 6 miles away, where they could still have enough energy to build a shelter. After discussing, they decided to move to the small pond the next day, hoping it had enough resources. As night fell, Nathan felt extremely cold and wished he could stuff himself into the fire. They had to keep adding wood to the fire, leaving them almost no time to sleep. Kaila's group also had little rest. They heard the sounds of a crocodile struggling last night. As soon as it was light, they went to confront the crocodile, finding it trapped and struggling. Kaila quickly moved behind the crocodile to restrain it and called Mallory for help. Together, they managed to capture the crocodile. Although it was not very big, it was enough for them for now. They hoped to catch bigger crocodiles in the future, but needed to process this one quickly. Adam and Heather also wanted to eat crocodile, so they decided to return to their original campsite. They covered themselves with charcoal to prevent sunburn, and once ready, set off on the familiar road again. Kaila's group has already cleaned the crocodile meat, which isn't much. They plan to smoke it for storage to ensure they have some meat to eat over the next few days. The inedible parts will be used as bait, hoping to find more crocodiles later. For now, they're rewarding themselves by grilling a piece of crocodile meat. It's been a long time since any of them smelled meat, and they can hardly wait to taste it. Mallory feels better already, and the aroma feels palpable even through the screen. Nathan's group is in a worse situation. There's not much suitable firewood left nearby. Nathan keeps working non-stop to gather wood, despite Lindsay's concerns that he might overexert himself. She thinks they should find other ways to get firewood, but Nathan is stubborn. He has already cut half of a tree and doesn't want to stop. Lindsay feels helpless about this, and Tara knew it would happen, so she didn't try to persuade Nathan. Lindsay is worried about the team's atmosphere. Everyone is busy with their tasks with little teamwork. She wishes she could join another team. Nathan continues to bring wood back to the camp, and seeing no alternative, Tara decides to help with the wood. Lindsay joins in, as they all need to support each other as a team. With everyone's efforts, the work goes quickly. Adam and Heather are still on their way when they spot crocodile tracks on the ground. A pond is not far ahead, and they are sure the crocodile is in there. Unfortunately, the water is too murky to see clearly, so they decide to go in the water to check. However, they don't find any signs of the crocodile. Adam is very disappointed. They couldn't catch a crocodile and have to turn to fishing to alleviate their hunger, but they can't find any trace of fish either. Adam doesn't know what the problem is. Usually, they at least catch some fish, but now they catch none. Meanwhile, Kaila's group is thrilled to have crocodile meat. The cooked meat is deliciously fragrant, and they wish they could eat like this every day. Even though the team consists only of women and might lack physical strength, they believe that with teamwork, they can complete the challenge together. Adam and Heather continue to worry about food. They have been here a long time without catching any fish, and the worst part is they are slightly dehydrated. They regret not bringing water with them and now have to return the way they came. This expedition has not gone smoothly, and the high temperatures make them feel extremely exhausted. Heather feels increasingly dehydrated and just wants to lie in the water to rest. Adam is also not feeling well, but luckily, the waterfall is not far ahead. They finally make it back to the shelter. Adam quickly cools down the boiling water. Heather can only stay aside to cool off. Her condition worsens, and she ends up vomiting. Adam has no solution but to encourage her to drink more water. However, Heather does not respond. For safety, he urgently calls a doctor for a checkup. Fortunately, the results show only mild dehydration and heat stroke. The doctor advises drinking more water and resting to avoid overexertion. Adam is very worried. He does not want to lose any teammates. The pressure of the challenge is mounting as it reaches day 18. Tara's group wakes up early to set off before the sun rises, hoping to cover more ground. They only have half a pot of water to drink, but they press on to complete the challenge, despite their exhaustion. Otherwise, they will continue to go hungry with just the local resources. Heather's condition does not improve. She feels increasingly dizzy and tired, even speaking. Adam is also low on energy and just wants to lie down and rest, not wanting to work. They urgently need a crocodile to boost their energy, or it will be tough to finish the challenge. Tara's group has walked over 2 miles and is extremely exhausted. The relentless sun makes them feel as if they are walking on a hot plate. Tara finds breathing difficult and has to stop for a break. There is still a long way to go, but they have to keep stopping to rest. Tara feels she is slowing down the team and wants to quit the challenge and rest in the hospital. Lindsay keeps comforting Tara, hoping she can continue at least until they reach a new place before quitting. Finally, Tara decides to persist. Meanwhile, Kayla is happily munching on crocodile meat and even live streaming to promote it. For those who like crocodile meat, remember to follow and like. Guaranteed 100% natural, never fed any feed, delicious and affordable. If there's anything else you'd like, leave a comment below. Tara and her team are less than a mile from their destination, but they are physically drained. Thunder sounds at the worst time. Though rain saves them from the scorching sun, it could disrupt their shelter building and sleep. After much hardship, they arrive at a place rich in resources, ideal for fishing or catching crocodiles. They rush to build a shelter on higher ground, cutting down trees to make a simple A-frame. Working together, they quickly set up the frame and cover it with palm leaves. Lindsay shivers from the dropping temperature. Fortunately, the rain stops before nightfall. Suddenly, Tara screams in pain after cutting her foot on a rock, feeling she's slowing the team down. The frequent need for medical attention prompts the doctor to joke about needing a raise. The wound, easily infected in such conditions, causes her intense pain even after basic disinfection. Adam's health worsens, and he discovers worms in his stool, indicating a likely infection. They urgently call a doctor who prescribes medication without being sure of the parasite type. On day 18, Lindsay and Nathan work on the shelter, while injured Tara can only watch, struggling even to walk. She worries about further injuries even if her foot heals, considering quitting due to the burden on the team. Lindsay encourages her to focus on healing, believing they can finish the challenge together. Despite Lindsay's reassurances, Tara becomes more negative. Nathan rushes to fortify the shelter, wary of potential rain and lion attacks after spotting lion feces on the trail. Adam and Heather, weak and possibly infected by parasites, suffer from stomach issues and avoid fish, resorting to berries to fill their stomachs. Adam doesn't feel like doing anything right now and is just lying down to rest. Heather's condition is slightly better. She knows she needs to get some food to boost her energy. Despite her concerns about parasites, Heather decides to risk fishing, hoping to catch fish without worms. Soon, she hooks a fish, but before she can rejoice, it escapes back into the water. Heather consoles herself by thinking that the fish probably had parasites, which slightly improves her mood. After some effort, Heather manages to catch several fish, 3 of which are uninfected. She immediately takes them back to share with Adam. Although they don't see any parasites, Adam is still anxious, worried that eating the fish might worsen his condition. But without eating, his body won't hold up. They decide to cook the fish thoroughly. Kayla's group still has some crocodile meat left, but Mallory is already anxious about future food supplies. Kayla and Shell, however, are not worried and believe they will definitely catch more crocodiles. Mallory sets traps on her own, using crocodile innards as bait, which smells terribly foul, almost making her pass out. She places the bait on the water's surface, hoping to attract crocodiles. Lindsay hears thunder again outside. They haven't managed to start a fire yet. They're likely going to shiver from the cold again tonight. Fortunately, Tara has kept an ember, and they finally manage to start a fire. At night, the roar of a lion frightens them, prompting them to get up and stay alert. The lion wanders right next to their shelter, frightening even the cameraman. Luckily, the thunder scares the lion away. Adam's group is also not doing well. Even next to the fire, they feel extremely cold. Tara's group's shelter leaks everywhere, and they need to keep the fire going all night to prevent it from going out. Kaila's group's fire is fine, but their smoked meat has gotten wet. They must eat all the crocodile meat in the next few days. Otherwise, it will spoil. As happy as they were during the day, they are now just as sad. Because the tent has accumulated a lot of water, they need to manually drain the water out of the tent, leaving them unable to sleep all night. They must keep working until the rain stops, barely making it to dawn. They are extremely exhausted, with no food or fire left. Everything is back to how it started. Last night's rain was too excessive. The shelter seemed like it could collapse at any moment. Now, their most important task is to eat all the crocodile meat. They don't want to wait until it spoils and then have to throw it away. Fortunately, the heavy rain didn't wash away the bait, so they still have a chance to attract crocodiles. Mallory can smell the stench from a distance. Besides setting traps, they also need to fortify the shelter, collect materials, and restart the fire. They really don't have much time left. While Kaila was setting traps, it seemed like a crocodile entered the water. She immediately called her teammates to search for it. They really did spot a crocodile strolling nearby, which thrilled them. They needed to figure out how to capture it. Nathan and Lindsay were busy repairing the shelter. It leaked everywhere last night, and with lions around, they couldn't sleep peacefully. Tara felt physically and mentally on the verge of breaking down. Lindsay continued searching the jungle for useful materials like palm and banana leaves, ideal for roofing, to ensure the fire wouldn't be extinguished by rain. Tara wasn't just lying down or zoning out. She wanted to try walking, help gather firewood, or go hunting for food. Although her teammates wanted her to rest, she insisted on getting up to work. Lindsay couldn't persuade her otherwise, so the three of them went into the jungle to hunt. Adam and Heather's condition was worsening. The lack of food and parasite issues were taking a toll. Adam felt he could faint at any moment, and now the group relied on Heather to find food. Adam hoped that resting would help him feel a bit better. His stomach hurt more than usual today. To last the 40 days, catching a crocodile seemed like the best option. Heather also wanted to catch a crocodile, but given her physical state, she doubted she could overpower one. Suddenly, a fruit fell. Was this a gift from nature? It tasted somewhat like an apple, and Heather really liked it. She collected a bunch to bring back for Adam to try. As she thanked nature, a large rat ran by her feet. Heather considered setting a trap to catch and eat it. She was quite satisfied with her findings. Tara, despite the pain, went hunting with her teammates. Theoretically, animals would roam after the rain, but they saw nothing on their way, which dampened their spirits. Just when they spotted a bird in a tree, Tara tried to approach slowly. Once within shooting range, she aimed her bow and arrow. The bird just stared at her, ignoring her presence, which infuriated Tara. She shot an arrow directly at it, clearly needing more practice with her shooting. Lindsay felt this was a waste of time and energy. They might as well try to catch a crocodile. Tara believed it was just bad luck and was confident she would hit the target next time. Heather returned with fruit to share and discussed setting a trap to catch rats with Adam. Adam, lacking energy, focused only on eating the delicious fruit. He believed that eating it daily would help him recover. Recently, he had been resting and now felt slightly better. Fortunately, Heather had been searching for food. Otherwise, he would have had to call for help from the show's crew. Heather planned to make a simple L7 trap, essentially 2 sticks tied together with a rope. When a rat enters the noose, the trap would trigger immediately. Confident in her trap, Heather believed that with enough food, their team could complete the challenge. She set up the trap in an open area, using the sweet fruit as bait, hopeful for a positive outcome. Lindsay dug up some worms as bait for fishing. The river here was wide, possibly good for catching a big fish, but so far, only small ones were seen, increasing her frustration. Meanwhile, Nathan went further afield in search of food, encountering only some edible fruit. Survival in the wild required constant exploration for more useful resources. During his search, Nathan noticed something in the bushes and quickly subdued it with a stick. It was a small lizard. Despite its small size, Nathan would not refuse any edible creature. He dissected the lizard with his bare hands and extracted several eggs, which could also serve as bait for Lindsay. After a whole day, Lindsay saw no big fish and returned to the shelter to rest. Tara's body was very weak. If not for her higher body fat, she might have already quit the challenge. Nathan also returned with his spoils. Lindsay's mood improved slightly upon seeing the lizard and its eggs, but the lizard meat was too little. The more they ate, the hungrier they felt, wondering when they would have a proper meal. At night, their shelter could no longer keep out the mosquitoes, and the buzzing was constant. They could hardly sleep well. Adam preferred fishing over staying in the shelter. Originally just to pass time, he unexpectedly caught a big catfish, free of parasites. They could have stewed fish for dinner, but Heather was already asleep, and the smell of the meat did not wake her. Adam decided to eat by himself, which bolstered his confidence to complete the challenge. Originally, Kyla and the others were asleep, but were awoken by the noise made by a crocodile. They hurried to the riverbank to hunt the crocodile. Kyla thought they could wait for the crocodile to struggle and tire out before pulling it up. However, Kyla couldn't wait that long and entered the water to subdue the crocodile directly. The crocodile, desperate to survive, struggled wildly. With no other option, they had to wait until daylight to see what could be done. By the 20th day of the challenge, Mallory's first task upon waking was to check the crocodile trap. The ropes had been snapped by the crocodile, but it was definitely still in the water. They quickly reset the trap, knowing that catching the crocodile was crucial to completing the challenge with enough strength. Time was running out. Adam and Heather were physically weak, but still in good spirits. Heather's trap had been triggered, but unfortunately had not caught anything. She could only reset the trap and then collect some firewood to bring back. For Tara and her team, it was impressive that they had managed to survive this long. The road ahead was still long, and they urgently needed some food to replenish their energy. Lindsay carefully observed the surroundings and suddenly spotted a crocodile. If they could catch it, they wouldn't have to worry about food for the next few days. Tara immediately went behind the crocodile to attempt a sneak attack. The crocodile thought it was well camouflaged, but the next second, Tara struck it down, overjoyed and energized by the success. The three of them quickly processed the crocodile, marveling at the white fat and wishing they could stuff it directly into their mouths. Soon, they stripped the crocodile meat and made smoked jerky to preserve it. The unused organs were used as bait, a good option for fishing or catching other prey. After being busy for so long, Lindsay felt this was the charm of wilderness survival. Only those who have experienced it understand how great it is. They could now go back and have a good meal. To ensure the meat did not spoil, they adjusted their shelter to keep the meat dry from the rain. It had been a long time since they had tasted meat, which melted in their mouths like butter. Incredibly delicious. No wonder everyone wanted to hunt crocodiles. Just looking at the racks of meat, Tara felt extremely satisfied, as if the challenge had restarted. After a hearty meal and replenished energy, everyone was confident about completing the challenge. However, Kaila's team was not so happy. They had not caught a crocodile and were caught in a heavy rain, feeling quite downhearted. Their shelter could not withstand the downpour, and they had to keep adding leaves to the roof. Such weather was truly torturous. Adam's team had it even worse, with rain blowing directly into their faces. The fire was barely maintained, but if the rain continued, it would be difficult for their bodies to withstand the cold. To ensure the smoked meat was successful, Tara's team planned to gather some wood to burn when the rain lessened. However, the rain continued until dark without any sign of stopping and only got heavier. Adam and Heather had to stay close to the fire. The water level had risen significantly. They were relieved that their shelter was high enough to not worry about flooding. Kaila's shelter was starting to collect water, and the fire could go out at any moment. They considered moving to higher ground tomorrow if the rain didn't stop. It was a struggle, but they made it to morning. The water level had risen a lot around Adam and Heather's area. If the heavy rain continued for a few more days, their shelter might be submerged. They decided it was time to relocate. A prairie 7 miles away seemed like a good choice. They packed up and got ready to leave. A doctor checked on Adam and found his condition had improved enough to continue the challenge, but he needed to drink more hot water to keep his body functioning properly. Heather was relieved. They planned to eat as much as they could today and then rest until they left. Tara kept the fire going all night. Thankfully, the jerky was not wet and smoked perfectly. Today, they would make soup with the bones and eat it with roast meat, enjoying their improving situation. Nathan kept eating meat to regain his strength. Lindsay had never eaten crocodile meat before and was surprised at how tasty it was, even without seasonings. She hoped to eat it again after returning home. Tara was glad she didn't give up on the challenge, otherwise she would have missed out on such delicious food. Kayela's group had it the worst. Last night's rain had flooded their shelter, and now they had a lot to deal with. Kayela still wanted to catch crocodiles, but the rising pond water made it more difficult. Heather originally wanted to fish, but the rising river made it harder. With no luck, she had to go back and continue to starve. After discussing with Adam, they decided to relocate tomorrow. However, the mosquitoes were unbearable at night, making it impossible to sleep well. Adam went night fishing again, and it turned out well. He caught several fish and secretly had a midnight snack. If I were Heather, I might be angry enough to quit the challenge. Kayela's team caught another crocodile in their trap. They couldn't miss the chance at this ready food and immediately went to check the pond. The crocodile was larger than they expected. Seeing it trying to escape, they quickly subdued it. After a busy struggle, they managed to kill the crocodile. They swiftly gutted it, and Lindsay used the smelly innards as bait, hoping to attract more crocodiles. Though her setup was simple, it was strong enough to bear a crocodile's weight. Adam and Heather were ready to relocate. Adam was glad he had eaten eel last night, confident he could make the journey today. Heather was puzzled and upset when she heard about the eel, unable to forgive Adam for eating in secret. Meanwhile, Kayela's group was busy processing the large crocodile, which would feed them for several days. They decided to eat more today to regain strength and smoked the remaining meat on the grill. They were hoping for more good days without heavy rain. Tara's group was making shoes from the perfectly dried crocodile skin, which was tough enough to protect against rocks and thorns. However, there was only enough skin for one pair of shoes, but they turned out well. Heather was still angry with Adam, but they had to migrate together. As the temperature increased, dehydration set in. Heather had not eaten meat for a long time, while Adam lay down when he felt uncomfortable and did not share the food he had. If Heather collapsed from exhaustion, it would be Adam's fault. She was too weak to speak and just wanted to find a place to rest. Adam kept asking how she was, which only made Heather want to slap him. Suddenly, Heather felt nauseous and vomited. Her condition was pretty bad. On the 22nd day of the challenge, Adam and Heather were trekking to another location. Heather was suffering from dehydration and heat stroke, and Adam feared she might faint. They found some relief in the shade of trees. Coincidentally, they met Tara's group there. Both groups were excited to meet. After brief introductions, Heather expressed her need for water and rest, and possibly some food. Lindsay led the new friends back to their shelter. Their crocodile meat was nearly gone, with only some fruit left to offer Tara. Nathan was worried about the new teammates' poor physical condition, fearing they might quit the challenge soon. Heather was cautious about drinking too much water, worried she might throw it all up again. Lindsay was quite worried. She let her rest more. Fortunately, they met Lindsay's group during this migration. Otherwise, they would have to spend time making fire and building shelters. Kayela's group was leisurely eating crocodile meat. The jerky they had was enough to support their move to another location. Kayela thought they could move to another large water source, which would likely have better resources. So, the three decided to move with their jerky to the big lake, 10 miles away. The move was tougher than expected. Besides carrying fruits and jerky, it was crucial to carry water to avoid dehydration due to high temperatures. With new members joining, Tara's shelter seemed too small. Nathan didn't want to expand it, as they might move again in a few days. They only needed to make sure it was waterproof. Lindsay took Heather into the water to cool down. Heather felt much better, and her body temperature began to decrease. Although there were many resources, Lindsay's group didn't get much food. The addition of Adam and Heather increased the survival pressure on the team. Adam planned to use palm leaves on the ground to avoid direct contact with the earth and keep away from mosquitoes. The shelter was already small, and Adam's bed took up a lot of space. Heather felt Adam was too intrusive, taking up a third of the shelter space. Tara felt very uncomfortable about this. Nathan thought about going outside for some fresh air but encountered a snake. Unfortunately, he didn't bring a knife, and the snake escaped into a tree and was hard to find. Seeing the food disappear made everyone feel hungrier. After 23 days, Kyla's group was ready to move to another location. Before hitting the road, they applied mud on their bodies to minimize sun damage. Although they were well prepared, the thought of walking 10 miles still felt daunting. Because they carried many things, they had to rest frequently. As time passed, the temperature rose, and they could only pray not to dehydrate. After resting, Heather felt much better and could join the team in searching for food. She hoped to hunt another crocodile, as it would be hard to satisfy 5 people otherwise. After a brief discussion, Adam, Tara, and Heather decided to be responsible for finding food. Both Adam and Tara were skilled at bow hunting and were confident about finding food. After walking for an unknown duration, Kyla and her 2 companions were completely exhausted, feeling as if they were walking on a scorching hot iron plate. Suddenly, they spotted a small flower on a tree and guessed there might be fruit nearby. Upon closer inspection, they indeed found many fruits which they stuffed into their pot for future needs. However, collecting the fruits took time and effort, and Mallory felt the burden growing heavier, fearing she might collapse before reaching their destination. Lindsay and Heather planned to set traps for hunting, but they saw no signs of nests or animal tracks nearby, which worried them as they were eager to contribute to the team. Watching birds fly in the sky, they had the idea to target the birds. They set many traps in the trees, which would catch the birds upon contact, and setting these traps did not require much energy. Catching even a single bird would be beneficial. Heather and Lindsay worked together, which made the task much easier, and they quickly set up the traps. Lindsay wondered if a hole they found might belong to a capybara, hoping to capture one for a hearty meal, so they set traps there too. With so many traps, they hoped to catch something. Tara and Adam entered the jungle along a creek, uncertain of what they might encounter, and resigned to take things step by step. The pond looked murky, and Adam considered exploring the water. The trio finally entered the jungle, relieved to be shaded from the sun and no longer worried about heat stroke, but concerned about the potential danger of snakes. A snake bite would be more than a simple call to a doctor. Mallory, carrying a fish basket, felt very tired and needed to rest. Kyla experienced stomach discomfort, likely from eating too many fruits. Still, after a brief rest, they decided to continue on their journey, having only covered half the distance. The sky looked like it might rain, but soon, Kyla felt so ill she couldn't even eat jerky and screamed in pain. Despite her discomfort, she did not want to slow down the team and continued on, needing frequent rests. Mallory worried they wouldn't reach their destination before dark. However, Kyla's condition worsened to the point where they had to call a doctor for a checkup. Lindsay was very pleased with the crocodile skin shoes. If they could hunt more crocodiles, everyone could wear them, reducing worries about injuries from sharp rocks. Although Heather hasn't known Lindsay for long, she trusts her. Heather is quite upset with Adam because he selfishly ate the fish he caught at night by himself. If she had eaten something then, she might not have become dehydrated and suffered heat stroke. Lindsay didn't expect such an incident either. Adam's behavior greatly affects team cooperation, and Heather does not want to forgive him. If Adam endangers the team, she will definitely side with everyone else. Lindsay remarks that if Adam continues to be selfish, she will have a serious talk with him. Unaware of these sentiments, Adam focuses solely on catching an eel to eat. Nathan's fishing net seems more like it's collecting trash. He hasn't caught a single fish. The resources here seem scarce, which frustrates Tara. Continuing like this is just a waste of time. Adam plans to leave the pole and return tomorrow to catch fish. Their exploration has failed, consuming much time and energy. Although Adam and Heather just arrived, it's clear there's nothing here. They must consider relocating again. Adam feels ready to move to a new place at any time, again ignoring Heather's poor health. Kayla's group is getting closer to their destination. Shell worries Kayla might not keep up, stopping to rest frequently and constantly encouraging her. Kayla is very grateful for this. The nearby leaves are turning darker, indicating they are nearing the lake. Mallory sees a large tree for the first time and hopes it brings good luck. They find mangoes soon after entering the jungle, which delights them. They immediately taste them, feeling revitalized. Most importantly, the mangoes aid digestion, and Kayla feels much better after eating them, thankful for nature's gift. The lake is not far ahead, and the resources nearby are more abundant than expected. Just the fruit alone makes the trip worthwhile. With such a large body of water, they believe it's unlikely there are no crocodiles. Although the move is tough, the results seem very successful. Now, they need to hurry to build shelter. They decide to build it on the clearing next to the mango trees. There are quite a few ants around, so they must build a raised shelter to avoid being bitten at night. Though they have never built one before, Kayla thinks they just need to support the platform well enough to prevent it from collapsing. It sounds easy, but it takes a lot of time and effort. They quickly start gathering materials.